It's the mother chuffing Graham and Bib. Snoop Dogg. Sorry, Bibby just went just going live then and it absolutely just earwormed me. But how are we all doing? Is the audio crap? Just earworm. No, it's fine. Yes, there we go. Anyway, welcome in to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham D. And this is the man that we call Bibby. All right, Bib.
Good. Yes, it's still morning.
Yes, ish. It's morning-ish. Pretty late today. So, you know, we're not even on the 10 a.m.-ish today, but that's because we had lots of work things to do. Also, apologies up front, because even though the audio is fine now, you may get a lot of noise. You can probably hear background voices, and you'll probably hear drilling and sanding and all sorts of stuff, because my house is being demolished.
Good morning, boys and girls. Kissing face.
Good morning, boys and girls. Kissing face. Yes, Wes. Thank you very much for the tier 1 4-month sub. You beautiful man. How the devil are you doing? Now it's crap. Joke. I was going to say no, as if it's crap. It depends. But yeah. So the audio is fine. For those of you who don't know, the audio can initially die, Streamlabs issues, whatever. But you will probably get a lot of background noise. So depending on how things go today, we'll probably switch up either. I'll start reading the articles, and if it doesn't work that way, then we'll jump to Bib to read the articles. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Okay, just before we jump into the chat, let me give you guys a rundown. My name is Graham, as mentioned, and this is Bib. We are Ice Cream Uploads, and in true Ice Creamy fashion, this is The Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast, even if we do say so ourselves. Anyway, we give you our thoughts and impressions of the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories from the world of video games, and that is a hammer. Nice. We give you our thoughts and impressions of the biggest and best stories from the world of video games each and every single weekday live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. And we want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions. As mentioned, we do go live on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads at 10 a.m. ish. It's half 11.
Caveat today.
Yeah, it's half 11. But 10 a.m. ish. And like I said, we give you our thoughts and impressions, but we want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions. We want to have a little bit of a discussion, a back and forth, and it's important that if you are with us live on Twitch, that you do get involved, because this live stream gets turned into a video, a podcast, should I say, a video for YouTube and an audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So please do use your voice. We want to hear your thoughts and impressions on behalf of everyone else that's watching and listening on demand. A little bit later on, a couple of things to mention. First up, we are going to be live on twitch.tv/official insert coin this Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. We'll be going live on Insert Coin's channel. If you don't know who Insert Coin is, let me see if Chatbot's alive. Chatbot is alive! ! Insert Coin. Type that in chat now. And that will give you the information on who Insert Coin are, why we will be streaming on their channel, and even a discount code if you want to buy some of their exclusive snazzy merch. I say exclusive, I mean sexual snazzy merch. Let's put it that way. So feel free to join us there. It would be good if you guys can join us there, show a little bit of support, even if it's just a drop in, say hello and disappear again. It'd be nice to see you guys over on Official Insert Coin Wednesday, 6 p.m. UK time. That would be very much appreciated. We potentially will be playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 on PC, which is free on Epic Games. So if you want to play that game with us, it's free. Download it now. You might even be able to play it with us on stream. Nice. Yeah. Make sure you get it. I mean, if not that, the other alternative is A Way Out, which is what we were looking at originally. The reason being that it's only about 6 hours long. We could split that across 2 nice, concise streams. Jobs are good. But what would you guys want to see? A Way Out or Star Wars Battlefront 2? Do let us know. Anyway, twitch.tv/official insert coin is where we'll be streaming Wednesday, 6 p.m. And the other thing is the loot drop. We are having, I think it was Magic Man that suggested last week that we make the prize be an item of your choosing from the Gamers Apparel insert. No, that's a different merch store. The Gamers Apparel Ice Cream merch store. So that will be this month's loot drop prize. We'll get the asset drawn up, we'll tweet it out, and we'll share it here. Right. Now, breathe. Whew. Anyway, good weekend, babe.
Yes, albeit, again, still no golf. Didn't leave the house. But very productive in terms of cleaning the house. And made some really nice food over the weekend. I don't know if anyone's seen that. I made my own fried chicken. It's now going to be called BFC. Baby's fucking chicken. So yeah, I made that over the weekend. But I played so much Battlefront 2. Like, and I've just seen I've just seen Iceman's comment. The actual Battlefront 2 or the fourth Battlefront, the 2017 one, it was kind of like the remake of the. I don't want to say it's a remake, but it's the new version, the new gen, the remake. What do you even call it? Because obviously, Battlefront 1 and 2 original, like on the PSP, and that's where I.
It'd be more of a reboot because it's not a remake. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so the reboot. So yeah, I played so much that obviously it was free, like you mentioned, on Epic Game Store. So I downloaded it because I was explaining to you, well, I was trying to get from you whether or not it was just another shooter or it was like Battlefield but in Star Wars. And then you said it was like Battlefield but in Star Wars, and instantly I'm just thinking, oh shit, this is the one. This is the Battlefield game that I've been waiting for, and oh my god, it has not disappointed.
It's good.
I'm probably like 60% of the way through the single player campaign. It got to like 1:30 this morning. Again, I'm having a bit of trouble sleeping. I know I've probably told people this a million times, but I'm having a bit of trouble sleeping at the moment. So like 2:30 this morning, I'm still playing Battlefield. But I got stuck and I binned it off. This seems to be a running thing at the moment. I keep on getting pissed off and then just fucking abandoning the game. But I'm not abandoning it. I want to give it one go at the moment. So
I seem to remember it was only like it was either like 8 to 13 somewhere in that either just less than or just more than 10 hours campaign. It wasn't a long one, which was what you said. But
I'm probably like 6-7 hours into it, I'd say. But the multiplayer stuff, the heroes versus villains stuff, it's interesting. I think you mentioned it last week, actually, saying that when you first start the game, you're always going to be shit, but you kind of need to persevere with it because you need to get the skill points to then buy it to attribute them to cards, and then the cards would make you more powerful in return. So that's kind of the mindset I've gone with it. Like, I know that my kill death is going to be so low.
Hey.
That was accidental. I did not do that on purpose. But I knew it would be so low at the beginning. But it's starting to pick up now. And there was a game where I was Palpatine. I got 22 eliminations to like 5 deaths in Heroes and Villains, which I was super happy about. But yeah, there's a lot there's still so much in the game that I haven't even touched it because there seems to be a lot of content. I know that this wasn't the game. The state it's in now wasn't the game it was when it came out, which I'm happy about. But I've seen some of a load of credits, but don't know where to spend them.
Yeah,
so that's something.
I wonder if that's something left over from the loot box, because you used to buy boxes which you'd open, which would give you random cards and gear, and gears or something like that. And those gears you then spent to unlock other things or whatever it was. I can't quite remember. It's something along those lines. So you had to get credits to then get the gears, which could then buy you the Vader's skins or stuff like that kind of thing, which is where a lot of the hate came from. But yeah, well, I need to. I mean, I'm about 90% downloaded for PC, so we need to jump on and do some testing. So before we stream on Official Insert Coin, we could stream that on Ice Cream. So feel free to join us as we jump in for that. If you have the game, we might even be able to jump in some squad games or something. Let's
get some squads going. Yeah, because it's like Battlefield. You can have 4 people in a squad. Let's do it.
Exactly. Gary says, morning shaggers. Then he says, lads, can you check to see if my sub excuse me, see if my sub is active as I've paid, but it's not showing up with the sub badge. It's not showing the same here. Best thing,
it says previously subbed for 4 months, and I can gift you a sub, which I don't think it means it's active.
Are you watching on browser? If you are, refresh, because then it might pop up with that little you've been sub, it's your anniversary or whatever, share. Maybe try that, because I've had that before. I have had it once in the past where it took my money and didn't give me the sub, so then I had to kind of like claim the money back from, I think that payment went through Xsolar or however you pronounce it, the one of the payment options kind of thing. I had to then claim the money back from them and then resub, which then broke my sub streak on that channel, which feckin' annoyed me, but there you go. So yeah, try refresh, see how you get on. Bibi, get some Frank's red hot chili and lime sauce for your chicken. It'll rock your world. It's so good, says Tito. Never even heard of that one. Interesting.
In Frank's red hot, the one that's so hot it'll make you slap your mama. Is that the one from like Friday?
I don't know. Frank's red hot. Chili and lime. Chili and lime. Is that with the lime? Does that make it cooler? See, I don't mind sauce with a bit of spice, but a lot of pre-bottled sauces are either flavour or just hot as fuck. And I don't mind heat with flavour, but if it's just gonna burn the tip of my tongue
for the sake of heat,
I'm not interested at that point. I mean, one that has absolutely no heat, and I talk about it all the time, Baconaise, which you can get from Tesco. It's fucking incredible. Although Tesco now want to sell the little bottles for like £2, and now Chloe eats it because she realised how nice it is. So we have to buy bottles all the time, which is heartbreaking. So
have it on everything. Cheese butter, hard butter.
Shout out to a couple of people. First of all, Stejo, who recommended Beyond Burgers. I had a Beyond Burger last week.
That looked good.
Incredible. Literally tasted like a really good quality beef burger. Couldn't even tell it wasn't meat. So we've got those again for this week. And the other one, John Bond, who recommended Oomph. Get some Oomph, which is a veg alternative brand to meat. Not that we're doing veganuary at all. We are still eating meat in the monks, but we've just basically decided to try and eat a little bit healthier this month with less meat options. Anyway, Oomph do... like they've got some kebab basically filling. It's kind of like, I imagine it's like a knock-on chicken, and then they've got some like ribs. So it's essentially barbecue ribs. So we've got those for this week. So I'll let you know how that goes on. I'll take some pictures. I'll send it.
Yeah,
man. Do you boys like hot sauce? Says West. It's like a spicy Nando's sauce. I mean, I don't mind sauces that have heat. But it's, like I say, definitely got to have the flavour. Wes says, we can chat offline if you want me to send you some quality hot sauce my friend makes and sells. Best I've had and very hot. Ooh, see. Do you know what? Let's talk. I mean, I'm not sure because I wouldn't... Yeah, we'll catch up off. Exactly. I wouldn't usually go for the heat. I'd usually go for the flavour ahead of the heat. But there we go.
Sorted it, lads.
Hey, did the refresh work? Hey. Is that what it was? Or it's not made you pay twice, has it? Because if it has, then... unlucky, we get all the money. No, we don't really. We only get it when it works. So hopefully you haven't had to pay twice. But yeah, anyway, let's jump into some news. Yeah, there we go, Madge. Thank you very much. See that? Admin duties, world class. Anyway, first news story of the day. There we go. Okay, let me just open this one up. This one, pretty controversial, I imagine, for a lot of us, but Zack Zwiezen at Kotaku says... The New York Times is worried kids are playing video games too much during the pandemic. So once again, this is an editorial at Kotaku UK, and it says, yesterday, the New York Times ran a story that focused on how kids are spending too much time playing video games and using their phones during the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, that story was on the front page of the paper. This seems strange considering how the world is falling apart and democracy is dying in front of our eyes. But yeah, sure, let's consider that kids might be playing too much Roblox. The article, which ran on January the 16th, quoted some experts and presented a lot of scary numbers, scary in quote marks for those that can't see it, about screen time. But it also glossed over the fact that video games and the internet have helped many people, kids and adults, stay connected and sane during this terrible time. The whole post is also oddly bookended by a random small family that is currently struggling during the pandemic. Their son plays a lot of video games as a way to connect with his friends. His father and mother are concerned about how much time he spends in front of the screen, but also know it's one of the few ways he has to safely socialise while COVID-19 runs wild across the world. This is a hard situation, I imagine many parents around the globe. Globe? Yes, around the globe. Nice. I'll start that again. This is a hard situation I imagine many parents around the globe are going through right now. But highlighting only kids and how much screen time they are using ignores that all of us, not just children and teens, are dealing with increased screen time and a lack of real human interaction. Instead, the article goes on and on about how potentially unhealthy and dangerous all this screen time could be for kids, how kids need to disconnect more, how kids are playing too much Roblox. Scroll too far. What are you going to do when you're married and stressed? Tell your wife that you need to play Xbox. This is a quote included in the story from the mother, as the son explains that after their dog died on New Year's Eve, he used games to take his mind off the sadness. It's presented as a negative, yet I can list numerous times when I and others use video games as a way to relieve stress or escape from a terrible day. This isn't me trying to toss this mum under the bus. I can understand the frustration she and so many others are going through. The real question is why that frustration needed to be on the front page of the New York Times, presented in an article that frames video games and the internet as dangerous, addictive things that are ruining our children and holding them captive. The article literally opens with a quote from the father about how he feels like he has failed his son because he plays video games and uses his phone. It's like something I would have seen in the 90s on some local news broadcast with clips of kids playing, I'm going to say this is NES, even though everyone in America will be like, NES? It's a NES. Playing a NES in the background. This isn't the first time we've seen larger and older outlets focus only on children playing games and try to use fear-mongering and scary numbers to build a narrative that completely ignores reality. Are there reasons to be concerned about how much time we all spend online? Probably. Spending 12 hours glued to Twitter and doom-scrolling the latest tragedy is presumably hurting me in ways I don't fully understand. Yet, right now, things are different. The world is fighting a global pandemic that is killing thousands every day. Many of us are trapped inside, dealing with all the stress and boredom that brings. Through all of this, we continue to work, go to school, raise kids, and deal with hundreds of other problems. I don't have to tell you how hard life has become, so many of us, over the past, checks calendar, year? Holy shit. You know, I'll leave it there because he's given his conclusion. I'll let us wrap our own conclusions. So kids are apparently playing too many video games. Bib, thoughts?
So am I, believe it or not.
What were you doing at 2 a.m. this morning, Bib?
But this is the thing, though, because I can guarantee that the person giving this interview would have just peeled themselves away from watching whatever box set it is that they're watching on Netflix. Like, I've always said this from day one. I will much rather play a game than watch a film. Not just because you're obviously playing through the experience, but 9 times out of 10, the writing in video games, especially nowadays, are just so much better than you can in a film. That's why people like reading books. That's why people like watching TV shows or whatever it is. You can cram so much more into a season than you can into a film. That's just common sense, because you can't have a 12-hour film. Albeit some films nowadays actually feel like that because they're just fucking going nowhere. They're just writing shit just to be able to
pretty much any DC film over the last 6-7 years feels like it's a 12-hour film, even if it's not.
Yeah, it's I don't understand this mentality. Like, for me personally, I haven't been able to go out, and I say this all the time, I haven't been able to go out and play golf. There has not been that many times in my life where I've not been able to do anything. And I know this is like ivory tower kind of thing, but whether or not I'm playing football or going out and playing golf, I don't think there's ever been a time where I've not been able to do any form of socializing, or we'll call it exercise, even though playing golf, you're kind of walking around a golf course and you're swinging a club. But I'm getting out, you're speaking to your mates, you're socializing, you're getting out the house. We don't have that luxury at the moment, and it is a luxury nowadays. It's classed as a luxury, and for me, it feels like a necessity for you able to go out. It's like the opposite, really, because you're going out to do something to recharge your batteries rather than staying in and relaxing. Do you know what I mean? It feels like we've been relaxing for the last year and we haven't been able to do anything. So being able to go out and speak to my mates, having a game of football or whatever it is, there hasn't been many times in my life where I've not been able to do that.
It's like
so
getting up on a Saturday, putting on your best clothes so you can go to Tesco.
yeah,
we get to go out now.
Going to the shops and sticking a mask on is like going to the most expensive restaurant in town, isn't it? It's like that's the biggest luxury you can probably have, but it just seems so backwards that whoever this person is that's kind of giving their experiences to the New York Times and rounding it off as a bad thing, I'll never understand it. The kids are if your kid is 10 now, they've literally had a little bit of their childhood taken away from them because they're not able to go out. Like, I'd never spent any time in when I was a kid. Like, I was always out playing football, and then when the streetlights came on, that's when I had to go inside the house. You know what I mean? So I still played video games, but it would be as your leisurely activity or in the evening, where after football or whatever it may be. But nowadays, it's what do you expect them to do? Sit down and watch TV with you? Watch the fucking chase? Watch the £1 Million Drop or fucking whatever is on TV nowadays? Like, what do you expect them to do? They want to speak to the friends, they want to play games, they want to be entertained. They don't want you just talking shit and saying go and sit down and watch whatever shit it is that I'm watching back-to-back Coronation Street on a Wednesday. I mean, no one wants to watch that shit.
Chloe's been asking us if she can go to school. She wants to go to school, not so much because the home learning is a bit gash and it's kids are disconnected in home learning. If they sat, I mean, Chloe's sat at her laptop now in a lesson. Teacher's talking, she can't see anyone. All the other kids are in there, but they can't communicate with anyone. So there is still a massive disconnect. Yeah, they are still getting some learning in, but is it as good as being in the classroom? Definitely not. forgetting the education side of things, is it as good as being in the classroom? Definitely not. I mean, she wants to go to school so she can see people. She wants to play out. Some of her friends are playing out. That's a decision from their parents. Okay, my decision for Chloe is no. We're in a pandemic. It's illegal, so no, you are staying in, kind of thing. So her using her phone and her playing video games, the amount of screen time she's getting, yes, it is more. But is she seeing anyone in a classroom for 8 hours a day? No. Is she speaking to people on the playground and in the cafeterias or whatever in breaks and lunchtimes? No. Is she going out with her friends after school? No. Is she doing anything social? No. So yes, her screen time has gone up, but everything else around it has gone down. There's purely a narrative being constructed here. And there was a short paragraph, and it says, "This isn't the first time we've seen a larger and older." This isn't the first time we've seen larger and older outlets focus on only children playing games and try to use fear-mongering and scary numbers to build a narrative that completely ignores reality. So the reason they say that is they link through to an article that they posted in 2018 that was worried that gaming was going to turn kids into Nazis, and it's just like it's pure fear-mongering. Create a moral panic. Tell these mums and dads that are already worried that they aren't doing the right thing for your kids. As a parent, you're never happy that you're doing the right thing for your kid. Could I be doing better? Could I be doing more? So amplify that by pandemic. Then suddenly you're thinking, shit, should she be in school? Should I be a key worker? Should I try get her into school? Should she be speaking to her friends? Should we not be speaking to her friends? Should we be playing games? Should she not be playing games? Should I make her work when she's already stressed enough with a substandard working experience? You don't know. You're trying your best and you don't know. So by putting a little bit of actually you're fucking up sort of angle to an article, that's purely just to scare parents that aren't quite sure about their own situations into taking an action that you want. Why though? Why the action? Why do you want them to do that? Why do you want them to step away from video games and screen time? I mean, screen time is bad. Most of the people that read the article read it on a screen, so you're damaging yourself there. I mean, it's baffling. It's absolutely baffling, and it's horrendous. If you're a parent and your kid is having too much screen time, oh well. Your kid is healthy and not outside getting potentially life-threatening viruses. So do you know what? Fair play to you. You did the right thing. Letting your kid play with your phone for a few extra hours is much, much better than letting your kid infect your grandparents and potentially put them on a cold slab. So yeah.
What's the alternative though? Genuinely, like I don't know. The article never mentioned it, but the person who was writing it originally for the New York Times, did they push back on the person and say, well, what do you think is the alternative? Because I'd love to be able to know, because I know what the alternative is going to be. It's going to be either carry on do more homework or play board games.
Yeah, I mean that's it. It's literally the person that's written this has written it from like one of those, what they call those hidden rooms where people go in for drink when it was all kind of. I can't remember the word. I don't need the word to carry on saying what I'm saying. Anyway, this person is sat in some 1930s room, doesn't have electricity, wrote that article on a slate with a piece of chalk. I actually used the reference talking about something the other day on social media. Who was that to? Ross the Boss was saying that people had been like criticizing him for playing video games as an adult. I'm thinking, well, those people need to move on, because that wasn't an acceptable attitude in the 80s and 90s, never mind in 2021. And this is the same thing. It's not an acceptable thing. What do you want people to be sat there playing? Speakeasy was the word I was looking for, by the way. Do you want children to be just sat there with mum, dad, grandpa, aunt soup, all these families that live in one house from 1930s and just be playing fucking chess or Ludo or something along those lines? The world has moved on. Move on with it. Understand, educate yourself, because that article has been written as a form of education and clearly hasn't had any education as a build-up to that. The benefits of kids spending time on video games and spending time with friends are huge. Yeah, fair enough. If you just play rinse and repeat games, you're not going to learn that much. But beyond that, if you're playing with friends, there's social skills, problem solving, and all sorts of other things hidden underneath the gloss of, oh yeah, it's a game, nice. There's so much that your kid needs to get, that they get from social interaction, that they can't get, and this provides them with a way to do that. Sorry, I cut you off.
Agreed. I don't think I was meant to say anything. I don't think I was planning to.
Well, you should do, because it's a talk show, all right. Okay, I'll jump back through the chat. Wes, I think this one's aimed at you, Bib. He says, Dick. No,
I mean, it's not wrong.
no, this was obviously the writer of the article for the New York Times. Says, Dick, I'm generally tough about the amount of screen time my boys have, but actually pushing for them to play more if their school friends are online. Yeah. I mean, I've never been too restrictive of screen time, purely because I had a lot of it growing up, and that kind of influenced me in terms of giving me a broader sense of different media. But yeah, I can completely accept it. I mean, no one's right or wrong in the way they do it, but yeah, penalising them just based on an unfounded, archaic view, nah. Only socialising, I have, as someone who lives by themselves, I think it's important. As long as kids are getting exercise too, it's been established, games teach kids problem solving. There you go, exactly. Games do teach kids problem solving skills. I mean, the difficulty is for Chloe, she's not getting much exercise right now, should I say.
Yeah, but she's a child, and I'm still an adult, and we're both in the same situation, as is you. Like, what's the alternative? Like, going for walks with your family? Yeah, fair enough, that's good. I posted something similar like this yesterday. About me exercising and playing football and stuff like that. I absolutely love that stuff. Like playing football, golf, absolutely love it. But going for walks just doesn't cut it for me. Do you know what I mean? I think that's I need the competitive edge for me to be able to do stuff. I need to take my mind off stuff with the competitive edge. You can't really do competitive walking. And apparently you're not even meant to go you can go jogging with your mate, but you can't go around a golf course. Work that one out. I'll never understand that. But yeah, it doesn't matter whether or not you're a child or an adult. At the moment, the rules are the same for everybody. Like, we can't go to the office, kids can't go to school, so we're all in the same boat. So I don't understand why this person is just attacking children. It's just an easy win because the children aren't going to give a shit back, but they'll get grown adults like us giving them shit back instead. I
mean, there's a reason why they're saying this. I just don't understand. What's everyone's thoughts? What is this journalist trying to get from this? Because I mean, the obvious reason would be it's trying to educate and inform parents. But it's flawed education and flawed information. So what is the aim? Is it just fear-mongering? And if it is fear-mongering, why do you guys think they're doing that?
Why now?
Yeah, exactly. We're a year into it, but only now is it starting to become an issue. Is it because we've started a second lockdown and they realise that, oh shit, people are back into being curious as to whether they're doing the best thing again, so this is another way to get parents to click through? Is it just clickbait? Is that all it is? I mean, I think that's the issue myself, but I just want to know what you guys think. Anyway, I'll jump back through. Gary says, when you hit sub in your stream, it adds a sub to your account, then you have to go to expired subs and click on the channel you want to give it to. Unfortunately, it was yours I clicked. That is well bizarre. I've never seen it being done that like that. But anyway, thank you. Appreciate 5 months, Gary. What a guy. So this article, he then goes on to say, this article from the New York Times really annoyed me to the core. Of course, gaming time is going to be up when compared to, say, 2 years ago. I would much rather see my kids safe gaming rather than risking themselves out in the world in the state it is right now. Absolutely. But you know what? You're a bad person for wanting your kids to be safe. How about you send your kids outside to keep them safe, away from the dangerous video games? Mr. T, good morning. Tassiman Via, noted industry leaker, says the person writing for the New York Times had an agenda and did everything they could for the article to present that. It would have been too hard to actually do a proper investigative piece, I guess. Something that looked at the impact. Something that looked at the impact, both positive and negative, of video games on people during the pandemic. Would have been some negatives, addiction, sure, but quite sure the positives, social, mental, and more, would greatly outweigh. That's the thing. I mean, video game addiction is a thing. Pretty much anything that you get some form of positive reinforcement from can be addictive. It's human nature. So that is something that was around pre-lockdown as well. So yeah, absolutely. If you put something under a microscope, make it a bit more intense, it's more likely to happen. 100%. But yeah, completely agree. Just ignoring all the rest to stretch an agenda.
I imagine everything's gone up. Like also everything. I imagine everything's gone up. That includes consumption of alcohol. At one point, there was going to try and ban alcohol being sold because that many people were drinking alcohol at home because we can't go to the pub or socialize. Like people subscribing to Netflix has gone through the roof. I imagine people subscribing to more packages on Sky has gone through the roof. People buying DVDs and renting videos from renting programs from Sky Store or Amazon Prime and stuff like that. I imagine all of that has gone up because what else have we got to do?
I mean, that's the thing.
And 95% of the things that I've mentioned there require a screen, by the way.
What do we do then? So kids aren't allowed to spend as much time on screens, but they can't go out to pick up a new book. They can't go out to pick up a magazine. They can't go out to have conversations. So are they only allowed to have a phone call if it's on a proper like house phone, a landline that doesn't have a screen? Is that acceptable? I mean, where do we draw the line there?
Do you have a landline?
Ish, we do. It's often plugged in. It's actually not at the moment because the staircase has been trashed, but we do have one. Do we ever use it? Do I ever put that number down on anything? No, it's just there. It's just there because it comes with Sky.
That's never plugged in. Yeah, you have to have one because you've got Sky. If you've got the internet, you have to have one, but nothing's ever plugged in.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Although ours often is plugged in and often isn't. It just depends on whether it was plugged back in again after the vac has been put in or whatever. But now
my Nan and Granddad have got a mobile phone. What's the point in having them? Because that's really the only reason that you keep.
What's the point in having your Nan and Granddad? That's a bit harsh. God, no, your Nan have got. No, what's the point in having them? God. But yeah, your comment about Netflix and subscription services and things like that. So people are putting more money into it. Is that addiction? Is that wrong? Because people are spending more time doing it, and people are. It's literally. You can't do A, so you fill your time with B. It's not the case of, oh shit. It's like people don't want to just play video games. I love video games. I'm sat on a podcast now talking about video games. I don't just want to sit there and play video games. I want to play video games as much as I want, but then I want to combine that with, do you know what, me and Danielle are going to go out and get some food somewhere. Or me, Danielle and Chloe are going to go for a mooch and watch a film at the cinema or something like that. We want to do all of that stuff, Mr. New York Times twat. We can't. So we just do, we can't do A, B, and C. There's a little bit more of B now because A is allowed and C isn't allowed. B is fine. That's the one thing we can do, so we'll have to do a bit more of that. And it's, should we be worried? No. Are they playing spending more time on screen? Yes. Would it be good if we could find ways to break off from that? So having specific family-themed nights where you just have a pizza and a bit of a chat, maybe even a board game or whatever. Yeah, fair enough. That kind of stuff would be nice. Is it a problem? No. For them, I mean, maybe someone somewhere, yeah, probably. But for the vast majority of people, if your kid is spending more time on their screen, you're in a pandemic, you're doing very well, crack on. See you on the other side.
Yeah.
I won't be seeing New York Times on the other side, though. I've never read their articles. I don't fucking want to. Get the fuck out of here. Sorry, what were you saying?
When things started to loosen down and started to become a little more, was it August, September time, when the restrictions started to get lifted slightly, like we went back into the office and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I genuinely have never seen more people out in the field, at my old house anyway, outside the house. Like, because we had 2 football fields outside the house. I'd never seen more kids all playing football with each other. Like, I think they were just desperate to get out as well. Like, they'd been cooped inside the house for like 3 or 4 months. Fair enough, they're able to go to school and stuff like that, but it's slightly different being in school, knocking about with your mates and then going out and enjoying stuff. Like, all football started again, football clubs was back up, you could go to the gym, people was just going out and enjoying themselves, and now that's been taken away from them. I think people are missing it more because they've had a taste. It's not like the first time we got locked down where people were just like, right, okay, this is it now for the next 2 months or so, you can't do anything. It's kind of like, right, okay, we'll grin and bear it. But then we was able to go back out, do stuff, enjoy it, and now we're being brought back in again. It makes you miss what we just had very recently as well. It was only 3 or 4 months ago that was the case. But yeah, I can get it from a kid's perspective because at the end of the day, they are still kids. Do you know what I mean? They haven't got the luxury like we have of being able to afford to, I don't know, go buy a golf simulator or buy a brand new console and stuff like that. They've literally got to use whatever's in the house. And if they've got a console and want to speak to their mates, absolutely fine, crack on. My brother's 15 years old. I think he's in year 11. No, he's going to be 15 in later on next week.
Later on today, but not yet.
He's going to be 15 next week, so he's going to be, I think he's in year 11 or going into year 11 at the end of the year. Like, this is a massive year for him, but at the same time, he can't do anything. Like, there's so many restrictions on what he's able to do. I think they're scrapping exams again this year, so everything's just up in the air. And I do feel sorry for the kids and people going that are still in education, because they're going to get the brunt of it, like they always have, like we did when we was younger from the older generation. That brunt is still being given down to the kids, and it's so unfortunate for them. I mean, kids 99% of the time are absolute assholes, including my brother, my nieces and nephews. They're all assholes.
All kids.
Kids,
If you're watching this and you're a kid, you're an asshole.
Kids are assholes, and they're meant to be, because that's their youth. They're meant to be able to grow through stuff. They're meant to be able to get over stuff. They're meant to be able to educate and learn the ways in life. And at this moment in time, half the stuff is being taken away from them, including what looks like to be utter assholes in the New York Times going after them for absolutely no fault of their own.
I mean, the New York Times, they're pissing and moaning about the amount of screen time that kids get now, and kids still get social interaction while they're doing it. When I was a kid, playing Tekken 2 or whatever, or Tomb Raider through it, I could literally sit there. I don't know if David's in the chat. I think he is. Yeah, there he is there. David could tell you, me and him would sit down for hours, days on end. Some weeks in the 6-week holidays, yeah, I'd go out and I'd see my mates every day. Some weeks, I would just stay in and play video games all day. Those days, I didn't communicate with my friends because we weren't playing online. It wasn't the same back then. So the New York Times, seeing me then, they would explode. What? This kid's looking at a screen and not communicating?
So it just shows the caliber of person that's obviously giving the interview, and then also writing it up, because it's on the front page of the newspaper. What's the demographic? I mean, this is just an absolute generalization and stereotype at this moment in time. I don't care. What's the average demographic of the person that's reading a newspaper now?
For the New York Times,
most of the
I
people
believe.
go out and buy one.
Let me just Google it. Listen to me actually legitimately typing now. Yeah, the New York Times is people that are over 147 years old, apparently. That's an official statistic, just as researched as their articles are. Tossers.
That's the thing, like, I just don't understand why people would go down for the kids. It just makes no sense. Why go for them? They can't defend themselves, can they? It's just a very easy point scoring article, basically, and I've got zero time for it.
Do you know what? We should start a blog. We'll stick a blog. No, actually, we've got some news section on the Ice Cream Uploads website. We're going to put a news article out that said Ice Cream Uploads is worried that parents are spending too much time reading the New York Times. Let's put that out and let's see if we can get a bajillion clicks on that. Fuck yeah!
That's the kind of satire that we love to see.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's put a pin. They've had enough screen time, asshats. Let's jump back through, because there has been a lot of chat, and there's a lot of people that I want to shout out for being here as well. Madge says, New York Times writes an article about outdated, incorrect opinions on a medium that's out of date and filled with prejudice and bias. I mean, what's the chances? God, yes. David says, it's auto-scrolled, it's got out of the way. David says, I thought there was already 3 different studies that the BBC covered in the last few weeks that said it helped with teamwork and socialising in general, as well as problem solving and mental health. The only negative was that the younger generations tend to get caught out by online scams compared to their grandparents. Speakeasy, there you go, Madge. Thank you very much. I did get there eventually, but I appreciate you understand. See, wavelength, you see? Nice. The irony of board games, that's the old style equivalent of a video game. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, board games used to get hit. In that conversation that I had with Roster Boss, who's a PUBG streamer, by the way, go check him out if you're ever watching someone play. You ever watch anyone play PUBG on console? Anyway, having a conversation with him when people said that he...
Stay fucking frosty, you New York boomer bastard.
Nice one, Chappers.
Stay fucking frosty, you New York boomer bastards. Appreciate it, Chappers. What a guy. Thank you very much. Appreciate the message as well. Yes, Roster Boss. That was it. I used some... it was the first time I've probably ever spoken about it since my degree. I've got a journalism degree, and it was talking about how it was actually... We were in film and broadcast genres, and within this, I don't even know if he's still with us anymore. Anyway, my lecturer, a guy called Christopher Pryor, an amazing guy, really good outlook on the world, wasn't into video games, but he understood that video games were an amazing medium. And he says, however old I am, I should be negative to video games because of this new thing, blah, blah, blah. He says, but I remember when jazz music, which if you ask someone about jazz music these days, majority of time it's going to be that thing that old people used to listen to way back when. Not even my dad listened to it. It was like my dad's granddad or whatever. It's so old that. But jazz music for a long period of time was this uppity, loud noise that only young people listened to, because people didn't understand what it brought to it. Now it's a really creative, developed medium. Same thing with classical music. At one point in time, uppity and so on. Things just are different, and you're not used to it, so you're scared of it. So you demonize it, and that's kind of what they've done with this. But I started watching High Score, good documentary series on Netflix, yesterday, and that's looking at video games through the 70s and 80s and so on. In that kind of time, you can kind of see, it's like, oh, this new video game, playing video games at home, it's taking over the world. I mean, at that point, you can understand if people are like, oh, scared, something new. But it's not new. The only thing new is the fact that people are having to do it more often. But surely that shouldn't be enough to give you that standpoint. I mean, it's not surely. That is not enough to give you that standpoint. So you're either writing that because you are a buffoon and you just thought, oh, this sounds like a good story, and you're a buffoon, or you didn't research it, or both. You're either a buffoon, you didn't research, or you're a buffoon that doesn't research. Whichever way you've got there. So, GG, nice.
I just can't believe it. Everyone that's at the New York Times, I can't believe anyone that's there, an editor, allowed this to go on the front page, or allowed this to be published, because it just shows how far behind the New York Times is.
See,
there's no way that this... If this article would have been written in the UK, I can guarantee it would have been probably deleted off the website.
The thing is, like, New York Times, I can see why it's been written. They've probably gone, well, our demographic is, as Graham's just researched, 147 years old plus. So they will absolutely lap this up, and it will sell us shitloads. Someone's probably come in. They probably sat there, had a team meeting discussing, obviously a team meeting. It's more like okay, what are the stories for the front page? Well, I've got a story on this. I've got a story on this. Well, I've got a story that just says video games are shit and people shouldn't play them and playing too much. Yeah, we'll go with that one because that'll get everyone pissy and moany and angry. And then that really cool Twitch channel from the UK that's broadcast from Salford/Greater Manchester area, they'll cover it as well, which will get us shitloads of hits and stuff online. And I mean, they clearly writ it just to get us to do this on it. But yeah, they've done that with that aim, which I understand. That's commercialism. That's clickbait. Fine. But that's damaging your reputation. That audience that's 147 plus isn't going to last very long. So those kids that you've just demonized, they're not going to read your stuff going forward. So it's a very short-minded, a very narrow-minded, and not forward-thinking perspective. Anyway, I did say we'll move on, so let me just carry on jumping back through the chat. Alternatives such as board games, reading and similar aren't great alternatives, especially when you're looking for varied dynamic social interactions. You'd get a form of it from video games, but only with people in person. Only so much you can do that with family before it's boring and adding no positive mental value. Absolutely. Robbo, good morning, dude. How's things? Robbo City, welcome in. Says, it's all down to a balance. Kids can have, all you just need to balance video games, books, education. In the end, it's all good. But even going for a walk with some is hard, especially with travel guidelines. Yeah, I mean, I have, because I'm incredibly old now, I basically have a sore foot. I believe self-diagnosed from the internet, not using WebMD, because I've probably got some form of cancer of the face, because whatever you get, I've got a mild cough, cancer. I've got a headache, cancer. Fuck me. Okay, so don't do that shit. It's not worth it. But I think I have something called metatarsalgia. Basically, I have a weak foot, so when I go walking, it hurts. So I don't go walking that much. I would like to. Danielle would absolutely love to. I keep going for walks because she wants to go walking, and it helps her mental state. But video games also help the mental state as well. So yeah, if my foot was worse, if that was on both feet, I wouldn't be going anywhere. But yeah, as Madge says, it's slow news day. Lazy writing. Video games have always been the easy target, says Gary. It's the same as when they chucked out the whole video games are so violent agenda. Fuck off, Alan Titchmarsh, and go and plant some vegetables. Of course, I mean, what a stream so far we've had. Fuck off, Alan Titchmarsh, go and plant some vegetables, and stay fucking frosty, you New York boomer bastards. Yeah. Of course, the irony of that of the timing is that a lot of kids are going to be glued to screens for online learning. Absolutely, fear-mongering. Absolutely, 100% fear-mongering. It's American media. Opinion is equal to fact over there, or so it seems. I mean, we get that in the UK. I shared some from political standpoint this morning, which was exactly the same. I won't go into politics because fuck that shit, I'm out. Home adult entertainment industry working has gone through the roof in order to generate some missing income. In terms of like OnlyFans and things like that, I did see something saying that OnlyFans fans had like a silly percentage boom. Who plugs in landlines, bro? It's 2021. Catch up. Well, that's the point. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. I can't tell you if it is. I know it's not right now because the staircase is destroyed. But yeah, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It's that thing when the phone rings and it's kind of like there's an old Peter Kay sketch where the phone's ringing and it's like, who's that ringing at this hour now? Yeah. But that's pretty much whenever the phone rings. It's who's that? Just generally. Why? Okay. Video games are great for stress with all that's going on, says Salty Dog. Absolutely. Welcome back, dude. It's been a while. Or has it? I don't know. Maybe it hasn't. But welcome back. But yeah, video games are great for stress. But no, they're not. They're actually really bad for you. And the fact that you spend so much time using that screen is horrendous. What you should actually be doing is just staring. Not at a screen, just in general. Just sit there and stare. That's what the New York Times wants you to do. Not at anything. Just stare. For fuck's sake. Just think about the kids, says Gagad. Insert Simpsons. What? Somebody please think of the children. Is that Mrs. Flanders? Is that what is it?
Yeah, Maud. Is it Maud?
Maud, yeah. I'm trying to remember her name then. Ned, Todd, Rod, and Maud. That's the word, yeah. What a laugh. Bush. Yeah, there we go. David, we did 48 hours of Mario Kart. Exactly. No online communication or changing of missions or stories or anything like that. Just 48 hours of playing battle mode on Mario Kart.
Hey, you turned out really well, haven't you, Graham?
It's fine. It's fine. Plot twist. Old people read newspapers too much. Ice cream upload. Stop stealing my thoughts. Well, there you go. There we go. Great minds. Kids playing video games too much. Who would have thunk a pandemic where there's nothing else to do and it's an opportunity to catch up with people worldwide like they used to? Yeah, exactly. Fucking New York Times dickheads. And that's where Chappers dropped the sub. Nice. Robbo says, I bet they typed it out on a laptop too, not an old-fashioned typewriter. No. They absolutely had a little bit of slate and a bit of chalk, and then they have like an old school sort of like reverse printer that spaffs it out onto the internet. None of this screen stuff.
Ever.
What that article doesn't mention is how gaming is great for social interactions. I've met some of my closest friends because of gaming, and that could never be a negative. Absolutely. When you read a book, and books are great. I mean, I don't read books, but books are great for a lot of people. But let me just show you a strength that video games has. When you read a book, you very rarely do that in a way that makes you meet someone or have a lasting relationship with someone, unless you go to like book clubs and things like that. But a book club isn't the book. That's you taking the book and putting in a social element. Video games give you that in general. So Gary in the chat, Mr. T in the chat, met both of those because of video games. Bibbe, before I worked with him, I met him because of video games. So yeah, it's
unlucky.
Weapon, yeah, unlucky. It's weapons that don't understand, that just stand far back and go, I don't play that, so it's not for me. That's yeah. Anyway, tosses. I think it's about clickbait. It's not the first time newspapers have published stories which, with no research involved, people will talk about it and then forget. Look at the shit Piers Morgan did. Yet most have forgotten, and he's still allowed to put his face on telly. Yeah, I mean the thing with Piers Morgan, I don't like Piers Morgan at all. And the thing I don't like as well is he tweeted something the other day. I mean, there was that thing where he basically Paxmaned Matt Hancock, and everyone's like, oh, Matt Hancock's a slimy, conniving bastard, and he wanted kids to starve, and he doesn't want to say blah, 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 blah. But Morgan did it in a Paxman-esque way, and he made him look like a twat, and then it's like, loads of people are like, I don't like Piers Morgan, but I like the way he did that. I don't like Piers Morgan, but I like the way he did that. And Piers Morgan tweets something along the lines of, if I was a journalist, a good journalist shouldn't care about making people like them. And I'm thinking, that's a very, very good point. However, a lot of people don't like you not because you're a good journalist. A lot of people don't like you because you combine journalism with a growth element. Journalists should never be about putting their name on the story and getting the credit for it. Piers Morgan does that. Piers Morgan wants the fame and the journalism. The fame comes first, and that's why people don't like you. So saying you're a good journalist shouldn't worry about people don't like you or whatever. You're not asked about whether people don't like you. You are asked about whether you're famous for it. So you're not a good journalist. You're a good celebrity hunter. So fuck off, twat. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, that's my rant over. Complete.
Tell us what you really think, Graham.
Yeah, I mean, he is an exceptional journalist-ish. He's an exceptional journalist if you take ethics out of the equation. And there's a lot in his history that can be used to pull that apart, whether he's a good journalist. He is a good journalist. He is a good broadcaster, and he is a good presenter. If you look at how the skills that you need to present and run interviews and stuff like that, he does have incredible skill there. He's also a cunt. And the two aren't mutually exclusive, so there you go. Being a cunt doesn't mean you can be a good journalist without being a cunt. He is a good journalist, but he is a cunt. There you go. I want to see how they filmed socially distanced porn, says Gary. I mean, just check through your internet search history. I'm sure you found it already. Wink, wink, wink. I said that was wink, by the way. That was wink.
You sure?
No, it's Helen Lovejoy who said that. Who said what? 2 meter stunt cocks. So it's video games' fault. We're stuck with the video games, Morecambe and Wise. Piers Morgan is such a dick, I agree. And he allowed a dead child phone to be hacked by his newspaper. Well, that's what I was kind of getting at with the ethics bit. But yeah, exactly. I mean, ethically, flawed and horrendous human being. And that is bad. That's not good journalism. He expresses that he's a good journalist. He has a lot of good journalistic tendencies. He's also a cunt. Let it all out, Graham, says Chappers. Graham as subtle as an air raid. Don't hold back. Helen Lovejoy said the Simpsons quote, "No more fondness." Ah, there you go. Yeah. I remember now. Jeez, good memory. Anyway, let's jump ahead. Let's change the tone completely and jump into this story. As Andy Robinson at VGC says, Scott Pilgrim's physical release is Limited Run's biggest game ever. So the distributor claims the Switch version alone sold 40,000 copies on its first day. A special physical release of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game Complete Edition, is already Limited Run Games' biggest release ever, it's claimed. Limited Run is a US-based game distributor which specialises in releasing digital games in physical media, with the games being sold on its website in limited quantities. According to the company's founder, Douglas Bogart, Scott Pilgrim became its record seller just hours after its release on Friday, selling 40,000 Switch copies alone. The game had sold 25,000 of those in less than 3 hours. Thank you so much for supporting making this our biggest release of all time, Bogart wrote. Limited Run Games will be selling Switch and PS4 versions of Scott Pilgrim for the next 6 weeks, including a standard edition for $34.99, a classic edition for $54.99, and the KO edition at $139.99. The Ubisoft title's success is likely due to the fact that its original 2010 version was unavailable for purchase for more than 6 years after it was delisted in 2014 due to the license expiring. If players opted out of purchasing and downloading the game before it was delisted, there was no way legal to do so before now. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game Complete Edition, which includes the Knives Chow and Wallace Wells add-on packs, released digitally for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, and Stadia on January the 14th. Bib, as someone that may have WhatsApped this game to me the other day, and as someone that mentions Limited Run Games more than anyone else I know, thoughts?
I'm genuinely looking at picking this one up, not the £140 one, because it's far too expensive. But I when this first game came out in 2010, I haven't seen the film. I know that's kind of blasphemous because apparently it's absolutely amazing. But I was over the beat 'em up side scroll. I was well away from that. That was an old school feeling that I just wanted something new, so I kind of disregarded it. But now I look at it, I just think, what I've been sleeping on this. I really, really was sleeping on it. It looks like an amazing game. So this is definitely one that I would absolutely love to pick up. And I know, the reason why this has sold so much is literally listed in there. You couldn't get hold of it for 6 days, and this is 6 years. This is the reason why physical editions of games need to stick around, because as soon as that license goes out the window, you cannot pick up this game again. We have lost so many games over the last 40, 50 years. that we had just gone to time. You cannot get hold of them. If you can get hold of them, they are done at an absolute premium if they're sold physically. The reason digital games, I will never. I don't want to buy into the digital world yet. As you can see by the games collection that I've got behind me, I went into my wardrobe the other day at the very back of it, and I've just got like another 4 boxes of games that I haven't been able to stick up yet. So the physical games in my world absolutely will. As long as they're making physical editions of games, I will always tend to buy them. Because I can keep them then. That's the benefit of having it. I've got this. I will have this on a Switch cartridge. I will have it forever unless I lose it. But I will never lose it to a licensing issue, which is a massive thing in digital video games. And I think it will kind of become a bit more apparent over the next 10 years when licenses eventually run out. We had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. That was a remake of the original one that came out, I think, in 2008, maybe. That you can't get hold of that now. It's physically
the original
impossible.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater? That was
No, so they did a remake of that, a HD version of it. That they relicensed the songs, but now the license of the songs has disappeared. The license of the game has as well, so you can't get hold of that. You can't download that unless you buy the physical version of the original game, but you can't pick up the HD version. It's impossible. So those games, especially if they've got music in the game and the license runs out, that it's just going to get pulled. You can't get hold of it. So the limited run things, this is why I'll always advocate them. I think they're absolutely fantastic. They're able to buy the licenses from the likes of Ubisoft to be able to reproduce this, to give the people exactly what they want. And it's always a good game. I don't think I've seen a limited run game that isn't classed as a decent game. It may not be one that I particularly am invested in, but there's a reason they always sell out. It's because people want them and they want them in physical versions.
Who else is interested in this? See, I never got on the Scott Pilgrim hype train. I saw the film, but I don't like when the film came out. There was a huge hype around it, and I didn't understand where it came from, and I didn't look into where it came from. So Luke says, watch the film. Jesus fucking Christ, it's excellent. What came first? Was it the film, or was it like a comic book series, or was it the game that was then turned? I don't know which way around.
From what I know, there was like I'm sure there was like an animated short. I'm sure it was a little small animation. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it was like a small animation first that got then made into a film.
It was a comic book first, then a film, then a game, says
right, okay.
Luke. See, I thought maybe it was that one, because the film had a lot of hype around it, and it came out of nowhere for me, and it was like so many people in, I mean, I don't want to say in video games, let's say in crossover, because there is a lot of crossover areas between video games and comics in terms of fandom, and obviously, and there was a lot of people around me that, I mean, I wouldn't class myself as a comic book person. I'm open to the idea of comic books, but I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a comic book person. So there's a lot of people around me that are probably more comic book oriented than me that love the idea of this. And I watched the film, and because I didn't know any of the history, or I was just kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of lost on me. So the idea of playing the game, I don't know, maybe I watched the film. I think I did, about 11-ish years ago or something like that. So yeah, it was kind of lost on me. That said, looked at the video of the game that Bibby sent through to me the other day, and it was about 2 days after playing Streets of Rage, and I was like, yep, I could play some of this.
Well, yeah, it's like Streets of Rage on steroids. Like, you have an XP boost, you have coins that you can buy new abilities and stuff like that. I'm definitely 100% up for that. I've just seen Vern out in me as well. It's not that's not what your Switch collection says. I agree. My Switch collection is extremely poor. The only time I tend to buy games for it is when they're on sale. But when you've got Skyrim for the Switch, what other game do you need?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
The other thing is as well is that kind of backs up Bibby, because like Bibby plays games, yeah, but Bibby also likes that costs £2.57 and no one's ever heard of it kind of game as well. So Bibby, like, you can't buy a Switch game for £2.57. They're all like 48 quid. So
yeah, Switch tax is a real thing. Anyone who knows about Switch games will know that for some reason you could buy them all for different consoles. You could buy them for PlayStation, Xbox, PC. They're all relatively the same price. You want to buy that on Switch, you're looking at least £5 more. I don't understand why they're a lot more expensive. I don't know whether it's because it's a portable version or more development went into it, but Switch tax is a real thing, and it doesn't half piss me off. And the value of the games always stay the same. It's something that Nintendo have historically always been able to pull off. There is no way most first party PlayStation games, after at least about 18 months, they tend to either go on sale or they come right down in price. You try and pick up Breath of the Wild for less than £40 now.
I know.
I have
crazy.
no idea.
It's like you get given The Last of Us free. Spike! Woo!
WOOP.
WOOP. I was wondering how it was going to read Whoop then. Thank you very much for the 12 month. That's Spike's sub birthday. Happy sub birthday to you. Hey, welcome back, Spike. Good morning. Good
Genuinely.
morning.
These are the three Nintendo Switch games that I've got physically. That is it. All the rest of them, like PGA, I play quite a bit on there, which is obviously a digital code. But NBA, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, and Skyrim, they're the only 3 physical games that I've got for Nintendo Switch. A lot of the other ones that I've got are all digital. And because I've been given codes by video game companies, or they were just on sale. And I mean, if you look at the games that I've got on there through my profile and that, a lot of them are like digital indie games. Again, now you're here, Vern. Play Golf Story. Play that game, please. Golf Story is like one of the best games you can get on Nintendo Switch. It's incredible.
Vern says, totally agree. Thought the price of Switch games are crazy. I was in Asda the other day. About 5 or 6 games I wanted, looking at 250 to 300 quid. Woo!
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah. The reason why first party Nintendo games stay high in value is because their resale value doesn't drop as much as what first party PS and Xbox One do. But that's kind of all. It's kind of all. I mean, are they high in price because the resale value is high, or is the resale value high because they're high in price? It's like, which one's chicken and egg? It's usually the former. Usually the retail value holding it is what impacts afterwards, and that often is usually down and influenced most directly by supply and demand. So is it a case of Nintendo just don't provide enough stock? Is that what it is? Because I know that's been the case with some of the things, but I wouldn't have thought that was the case all of it, which just is baffling. I mean, I imagine if I go to game, I could pick up Breath of the Wild right now. But how did they establish that? It's like you can get some things in the market, you flood a market with stuff, and then often prices drop. But Nintendo can flood a market with a game and still manage to keep the price. They're just happy to go, okay, I would rather not sell it than sell... no, I'd rather not sell it for 15 quid and sell 3 of them. I'd rather not bother because the hope is that I can sell one of them for 45 quid. If I sell one, that's better. That's just as good as buying 3, and I don't have to go through 3 different sales and 3 different production lines and so on. But yeah, they've done it. It's exceptional. Well, anyway, I'll stop my waffling because we do have 2 more stories to jump through, and we are getting on a bit now. Well, what else can you play Super Mario Odyssey on? That's part of the price consideration as well. I mean, yeah, they do have some exceptional titles. Maybe that's it. They have exceptional titles that they know are exceptional and have history. Plus, there's a little bit of ego in terms of, no, I'm not going to move on price. I would rather not sell it at all than sell it at a reasonable price. Not a reasonable, that's the wrong choice of words. At a low price. I'd rather not sell it at all if it's going to be low. I mean, I'd just keep the game and lose the money. It's fine. And in having that ego, as well as titles that are only available on those platforms, that then becomes supply and demand built into that. You have to buy that thing if you want to play it. If not, you're looking at illegal forms of porting. And can you even port Switch games to other formats? I don't know. It's all down to numbers.
That's the reason why we haven't seen a Pokemon game on any other console. Same with the Mario game. Same with the Zelda game. I mean, obviously we got. No, we haven't. I was going to say, have we seen Zelda on a PlayStation? But I don't think we have. I was thinking that there might have been a crossover somewhere that we may have seen it, but I don't think we have. But having the characters on any other console, that's the reason why Nintendo are very good at that.
Yeah,
it's like we said, the whole part of the conversation is Nintendo games hold their value. Especially the first party stuff, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, the ability to create those titles and know that you have a monopoly of those titles, but also heroify those titles and those characters so that they are put on a plinth, a platform that people can't get to. So the only way you can experience those is by directly playing them. No other games come close. Puts them back into that. Iceman says, well, there was that Philips CDI crossover. Yeah, what was that, like £1,000 pound for the system or something like that? Damn. And that's like, it was like $1,000 or whatever it was for a Philips CDI, and that was in the 80s. How much would that be with inflation? Whew. Anyway, let's move forward. So Scott Pilgrim versus the World is Limited Run's biggest game ever. You can get a physical copy. There are 3 different editions. I'll bring this back on screen just so you can see them. I'm not going to go through what the editions are, but there we go. This is the full screen. So there's the Roadies Collector's Case, which is spotlights and all the rest, and then loads of different editions. So if you want to get it, you can get it. Be fast though, because from the sounds of it, the Limited Run is going to be very limited because everybody wants to buy a copy of it.
I don't think the standard version is available. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, it is. They've just the hyperlink doesn't work, so you can get the standard edition for 35, the other one for the deluxe version for 54, and then the ultimate version for like, oh my god, there's the game fan bundle which is £400.
Okay. Well,
that he has a link at the bottom.
There you go. You can get a £400 edition if you want a Scott Pilgrim game. Talking about Nintendo and the games that they have and having them exclusive, that's something we've started to see from the other first-party providers, which is a nice tangent into this article written by Andy Robinson at VGC. Once again, the hammering starting behind, so apologies, I am having work done in the house, so you will hear that. Just ignore it, it's fine. But Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are targeting big names for buyouts, journalist claims. So Sony and EA are also said to be driving acquisition discussions as games thrive during pandemic. Yeah, no, games thrive because kids are spending too much time playing them, according to the New York Times. Anyway, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are actively seeking further video game company acquisitions with at least 3 deals going on right now. That's according to BWW Media Group's Brad Sams, a journalist specialised in Microsoft-related news. Speaking in a new video show, Sam said he personally knew of multiple game acquisitions that could be completed in the near future. I've been hearing a lot of conversations behind closed doors about acquisitions in the industry. There's a lot of moving things going on right now, he said. It's hard to see which companies are going to get snatched up and by what vendors, but I can tell you there are some big industry names out there being approached by Microsoft included, but then you also have Amazon and you also have Google. Sony is part of the conversation, but it doesn't seem to be as much as Google and Amazon are when Microsoft enters the fold. You also have EA. I mean, look at what happened with Codemasters, for example. As the games industry continues to thrive during the coronavirus pandemic, the market has seen a significant rise in mergers and acquisitions. According to research by InvestGame, the value of mergers and acquisitions in the games industry exceeded $22 billion in 2020, including the yet-to-be-completed sales of ZeniMax to Microsoft and Codemasters to EA, which is the highest amount since 2016. It said the key acquirers in 2020 were Tencent, surprise, surprise, Embracer Group, Stillfront, and Zynga. The report notes that because video games have outperformed many industries hurt by the pandemic, public and private investors have started to target the industry as a perceived safe bet. That's a notion echoed by journalist Sams. The valuation of these mobile gaming companies are going up very fast, as the industry is. I don't want to say condensing, but they are suddenly new players in the industry, he said. You have Amazon and Facebook who genuinely need new IP, and you have Microsoft, which is building up this gaming solution called Game Pass, and there are a lot of companies who are just being snatched up from under each other. Be on the lookout for acquisitions. I'm hearing lots of things going on, and I know of 3 specific acquisition targets for various companies going on right now. According to a new note from analyst group DFC Intelligence, Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt could be one to watch as a possible acquisition candidate as it attempts to deal with the fallout of a troubled launch. Interesting. Mortal Kombat and Batman Arkham firm Warner Brothers reportedly decided not to sell off its games business last year, according to a report. Let's leave it there. So Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, potentially Sony, are targeting big names for buyouts, a journalist claims, with one of them even referenced in there being CD Projekt Red. Interesting. Thoughts, Bib?
I'm always very, very hesitant when they get snatched up like this. I think I'm still undecided on whether or not I think it's a good idea. Yeah, I probably could ponder this for about another month and still not have a conclusion to this argument. It's a massive gamble. It is a massive gamble for each and every one of them. But I immediately think just if they need investment, that's absolutely amazing. But yeah, acquisition. What's the word? Acquisition.
Acquisition.
Taking them in acquisition. Yeah, bringing them on board, buying them outright. It never sits well with me. But then you got things like Naughty Dog, which have just thrived under that. I just think it's a massive gamble, but I also feel just if they need it, invest, don't take them, because then there's a lot of people that may not be able to play those games because they're going onto different systems. I mean, that's just me. I don't know. I think again, this is definitely a question, like I just said, that I could be asked a million times and I'd have a different answer each and every day. I don't think I would ever settle on a complete answer for this. But
Yeah.
I just think having them and acquiring them to be part of your franchise only, it'll never sit well with me. But we have had so many success stories in the past that clearly it's a good thing for a lot of people who a lot of companies may end up going under if they don't get that kind of backing. But yeah, I don't know. I'll never know.
Tyra Arsenal says hello from Germany. Hello, wie geht's?
Hello.
How are you doing? Welcome in. Mr. T says, Tassim Anvia, noted industry leaker now, not Asim Tanvia, says, I don't know if the article mentioned it, but I'd keep an eye on CD Projekt Red and them getting purchased by one of the big companies mentioned. See, there we go. Noted industry leak. He didn't even notice if it was in the article, but he knew it was happening. There you go. It was in the article, by the way. Didn't mention
He's
who.
the analyst.
He is.
He's the FC.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Sams, I bet if you rearrange the letters, I mean, I bet Brad's middle name has the extra letters because Sams already has 3 of the letters needed to make Asim. So I bet his middle name has an I in it. That's all I'm going to say. Can we get some Illuminatis in chat? Nice. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not on board for more of this acquisition stuff. I know Sony bought a bunch of studios, and Microsoft have a studios, they're fine. But I don't want to see the big dogs being bought out because that's when you start to get this
monopoly.
Yeah, you get fanboyism. You get the greens. I mean, the image they've got in the article is perfect for what I'm trying to express. A wall of green and a wall of blue. Do you want to play Uncharted? You go to blue. Okay, we understand that. Do you want to play Gears of War? Okay, you go to green. Okay, we understand that. Do you want to play Elder Scrolls? Yeah, you only go to green. Yeah, but I've played it on blue before. Yeah, but we don't care. It's only green now. And that's where you start to lose the options. Some exclusives and some first-party things, fine. But develop them and build them. Just snatching stuff that's in the middle and dragging it to your side is bad for the consumer. I like the choice, the ability to have people having a bit of everything and then still having the competition. It almost feels money grab lazy. Okay, we know that a lot of people need these games right now and probably will do. I imagine the pandemic's still going to be impacting us in a couple of years' time. Maybe not at the same extent, but there'll still be knock-on effects for at least a couple of years. And they've said, okay, well, if we get these companies now, which have been developing games quietly for the last few years, they're going to release something in the next 12 months. We can take that, yoink! And it's like, it's literally just for yourself and your bread line, as opposed to, your bottom line, should I say, as opposed to the families that are on the bread line and just want something to keep them engaged. So, yeah. I like the idea of Microsoft adding more studios because obviously that will build their portfolio. I like the idea of Amazon getting something because they tried last year and failed. They have they failed, but they've
Crucible.
Yeah, exactly. But they will have learned a lot of lessons from that.
Yeah.
Google need the portfolio because they've got some software that can be questionable, can be good for some people, just doesn't have anything to support it. So I kind of would like to see Amazon and Google getting it. And if Amazon and Google got it, that's not Xbox and that's not PlayStation. So it could still be whole of market in theory, just favour their platforms. Because what's Amazon's platform that they're working on? I can't remember the name of it, but yeah. Anyway, the non-Stadia. Luna. Yeah, yeah, one of those. Luna, I think it was. Yeah. So Luna and Stadia. If it comes out on those, you kind of feel it's got to be Xbox and PlayStation 2. You kind of feel.
The thing that I love about games is that you know straight off the bat where a game sits. Like we just spoke about it now with the likes of Nintendo. You know where you're going to be playing a Mario game, a Zelda game. You know straight off the bat where you're going to be playing those. You go to PlayStation, you got the likes of The Last of Us, God of War. Then you go to Xbox and you get the likes of Forza, Gears of War, and Halo. You immediately know where those games sit, and then there's like everything else in between. So you're able to play the likes of Elder Scrolls on every single console, Doom on every single console. The way that you mentioned it then, with everything that was in the middle that you can play and everything, as soon as they start to get inherited and be brought over as an exclusive, I think that's where the grey line starts to be. I think we've had games like Crash. I'm wearing Crash, the game that they're wearing right now. We've had the games like Crash, which was a PlayStation mascot way back in the day. It is no longer a PlayStation mascot. Where I don't know whether or not the licensing kind of went to a bit left field, and it just was inactive for so long that the Naughty Dog decided that it was going to remake it and then bring it back on all the consoles, rather than PlayStation saying, actually, we're going to pay you to keep it an exclusive. I don't think PlayStation or Sony was asked about that, which is why it was available on every single console. But those games that kind of sit in the middle, I would hate to be able to see go on everything. I understand consoles need exclusives, and it'd be amazing for the console of your choice. But for games that have historically been on every single console, it would be hella annoying if it started to be pulled towards one side. And that's just me sitting on the fence in this. For the sake of this comment, this topic, I don't really want to be seen as a fanboy. I'm heavily invested, shall we say, into the PlayStation ecosystem. It's the console that I've had for the last 8 years now. So all the things that I've either bought for now work with my PlayStation. I was historically an Xbox guy. But out of everything, I play more games on my PC, and I have a Nintendo Switch. So I think the whole fanboy aspect of my comments are kind of in the middle. But I would hate any of the middle ground games to get pulled from left and right, because I think that would just make the divide the video game market even more than it already is. All you need to do is just look at any tweet made by Sony and Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo would take out of this because the Nintendo guys seem to be super cool. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but the Nintendo community, from my standpoint, seems to be a hell of a lot less toxic than all the rest of the Xbox and PlayStation. And then PC Master Race guys just come in on the left side. But
I think it depends on which bit of it you see. I think every community has the fair share of whoppers. Madge says, can someone buy out Drop Dead Studios and give them a budget and some staff so we stop getting a new identical game every week on the PlayStation Store? Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes acquisitions could be good. Winner for acquisition of developer studio decided by a game of Fall Guys.
Jesus.
I misread that. I thought you meant like someone's going to acquire Fall Guys. In terms of Mediatonic is the developer, but obviously that has been acquired effectively. Is it owned by Devolver Digital? I assumed it was, but it might actually not be. But you'd kind of feel if someone's going to buy it, it would be Devolver. And Devolver are maybe... I was going to say, actually, Devolver are maybe too big to be acquired. But then again, Bethesda were too big to be acquired. So what do I know? But yeah, I'd quite confidently wager Microsoft will be looking to, or have very briefly spoken to CD Projekt Red, given all that is happening there. Offer financial security going forward and all that. As far as I know, all the CD Projekt... the Cyberpunk 2077 ads were with Xbox branding. They have a special relationship. Everything was. It was all play it first on the new Xbox Series X. That kind of stuff. Yeah, the pre-rolls, Twitch, YouTube, everywhere was all Xbox. Gary says Naughty Dog sold Crash. And then
I completely forgot about that until I just read his comment, him and Assen. I completely forgot that they sold it. It's an Activision game now, isn't it? That makes even more sense.
Yeah, so Crash is an Activision IP, otherwise would have been PlayStation only, as it was Naughty Dog. There you go. Okay, final news article, since we are overrunning now, is one that ties to what we started the show with. Yeah, that's what we appreciate. I mean, he's fuming, though. Now you can't see him on screen. He's proper pissed. He's angry as fuck. Look. Hold that face, babe. Hold that face. There you go. Vikki Blake at Eurogamer says Star Wars Battlefront 2 servers are still struggling with an influx of new players, courtesy of Epic's giveaway. EA says it's scaling up new servers to welcome you all to the Battlefront. A heap of shiny new Star Wars Battlefront 2 players, courtesy of the latest Epic Games Store giveaway, have crashed the servers. As we reported last week, Epic's current freebie, the Celebration Edition of Battlefront 2, features all the post-launch additions as well as all cosmetic content previously available as in-game purchases, right up to and including those released as part of the game's Rise of Skywalker update. However, since the freebie was launched, many players have had problems connecting to online servers, reporting error codes 623, 918, and 721, all of which translate to server issues. And then we have a tweet from EA Help Embedded. It says, seeing error message 623 or 918 in Star Wars Battlefront 2, sit tight, we're on it. An incredible number of players have joined us during our Epic Games Store free week, and we're scaling up new servers to welcome you all to the Battlefront. Despite a subsequent tweet that reported that the issue affecting Star Wars Battlefront 2's server capacity has been resolved and wished all players may the force be with you, players are seemingly continuing to experience difficulties, which is frustrating those hoping to make good of the weekend's double XP promotion. Players can add Star Wars Battlefront 2's Celebration Edition to their Epic Store libraries at no cost from now until the 21st of January 2021, which is Thursday. So just a little reminder in that as well. If you are wanting Star Wars Battlefront 2, it is free on Epic Games right now. You just log in, claim it. You don't even have to install it. Get it there. So should you want to play that again, if you do want to play that. Another reminder, this Wednesday night, myself and Bib will be on twitch.tv/official insert coin. We'll be on the official insert coin channel playing probably Star Wars Battlefront 2. The reason I say probably is because we were looking at a way out, but I think if everything goes fine with a tech stream test, so basically I need to see if my PC can handle Star Wars Battlefront 2, having Bibby on a Discord call, and streaming the game out. If it can do all of that, we're probably going to play Star Wars Battlefront 2 on Wednesday evening, 6 p.m, twitch.tv/official insert coin. So make sure you get the game free, and if you want, drop in and join us. Nice. But that's it. That wraps things up. A quick recap for everyone that wants the news. We started off with a shit show of a headline from the New York Times. They are worried that kids are playing too many games during the pandemic because of all the other things that they've got to do. Yeah, obviously, nice. Scott Pilgrim's physical release, which was a limited run made by Limited Run Games, is their biggest release ever. Hugely successful for them. Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are targeting some buyouts of studios. Sony too, but maybe not. CD Projekt Red is in the discussion, and Star Wars Battlefront 2 servers have been struggling. So if you do get the game, it is free. Get it downloaded. But all those people downloading it have made it be a little bit touch and go in terms of getting games. So yeah, just give it a few days and it will normalise, and we'll see you out there on the battlefront. I was going to say on the battlefield, but it didn't work. Anyway, we are going to disappear. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for yet another episode of The Scoop. Thank you very much for Pirate, who did host 8 minutes ago. Pirate, I love you, man. Also, Terry Minot, 20 minutes ago with a follow. I didn't call that one out. Thank you very much for that, dude. Spike, Chappers, Gary, and West all appreciate the subs this morning. You absolute heroes. Genuinely appreciate it. As mentioned, we do go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish. The ish is because we don't do this full time. This is on side of our proper day job, which is why we are late. So you guys donating and dropping subs and things like that does help us keep the channel going. So we appreciate it very, very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We are going to disappear. We could jump back on with maybe some Streets of Rage after this. We were going to play Masters of the League, but as you can hear the noise in the background and things, so we're going to have to keep postponing Masters of the League for now. So if you want to stick around for some Streets of Rage, then maybe do that. Before we do that, though, Bib, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah. Yes, again, thank you very much to each and every single one of you that joined us today. We very much appreciate it. But if you want to be a part of the show, there's 2 ways that you can do that. First of all, find us on social media. It's at Ice Cream Uploads across all major social media platforms. Second way, get into our Discord. There's an area in there called The Scoop. All we need from you is the URL, your thoughts and impressions. We will then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which will be at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day?
Well, that is, if it's not anything like today, that will be at 10 a.m. Ish. 10 a.m. ish. As you can see in the chat. Madge, thank you very much for the Discord link. Pirate, thank you very much for the social link. Look, see that? Mods high-fiving. Yeah, that's what you like to see. Nice. Okay, we are going to disappear. We will be back, potentially with some Streets of Rage or some Star Wars tests or whatever. We will see. Feel free to hang around in the channel and we'll see you in a bit. Nice. Have yourselves a fantastic day and stay frosty. Yeah.